Welcome to the Tidewater Stream Podcast. This podcast will cover the life of our Savior, Jesus Christ, from the lens of the four Gospels. Sit back, have your Bibles open, and enjoy this podcast.
Oh,
Golden.
Golden.
Best podcast ever.
Best podcast ever. Yeah.
All right, where are we going today?
That's all. Welcome back to the Tidewater Stream Podcast.
we
We are
recording?
on week 11.
Week 11.
We get to do log removal.
What?
Yeah, log removal. That's what the topic is for at least Monday. Monday.
It's so
we're gonna talk about
painful to remove the
removing
logs.
logs in people's lives. There's one passage. Okay. And that's, no, there isn't. There is two passages on log removal. So the first one is Matthew chapter 7, verses 1 through, was it 6? Yeah, Matthew 7, verses 1 through 6.
All right. Matthew 7, 1 through 6. Do not judge so that you will not be judged. For with what judgment you judge, you will be judged. And with what measure you measure, it will be measured to you. And why do you look at the speck that is in your brother's eye, but do not notice the log that is in your own eye? Or how can you say to your brother, let me take the speck out of your eye, and behold, the log is in your own eye? You hypocrite. First take the log out of your own eye, and then you will see clearly to take the speck out of your brother's eye. Do not give what is holy to the dogs, and do not throw your pearls before swine, lest they trample them under their feet and turn and tear you to pieces.
All right, that's passage 1 for Monday. The second passage is Luke 6, 37 through 42. So Luke 6. You got to fix your mic again? You got no? Oh,
No,
there you are. Okay, cool.
I
You're
had just
muted.
muted it so you didn't listen to me cough,
Gotcha. Okay, cool.
because I'm starting to get better at that.
You are. I'm just hyper watching that because I'm like, why is it fading out? So, okay. So 6:37 through 42.
Okay.
It reads, Luke 6:37 through 42, judge not, and you shall not be judged. Condemn not, and you shall not be condemned. Forgive, and you will be forgiven. Give, and it will be given to you. Good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over will be put into your bosom. For with the same measure that you use, it will be measured back to you. And he spoke a parable to them. Can the blind lead the blind? Will they not both fall into a ditch? A disciple is not above his teacher, but everyone who is perfectly trained will be like his teacher. And why do you look at the speck in your brother's eye, but do not perceive the plank in your own eye? Or how can you say to your brother, brother, let me remove that speck that is in your eye, when you yourself do not see the plank that is in your own eye? Hypocrite, first remove the plank from your own eye, and then you will see clearly to remove the speck in your brother's eye.
Okay.
That's it. I think that was it. Yep, that was. All right. So specks in eyes, inconsistencies. Yeah. So what do you think about this one? Just
Yeah, just do what
self-explanatory.
Jesus says.
Just do
No,
what
it's
Jesus
not at all
says. You don't
self-explanatory.
think self-explanatory?
No.
Really?
People
I
are,
always thought this was pretty simple. It's like, yeah, if I'm accusing someone of something, let me make sure that I don't do that thing as well.
yeah, sure.
That's right. And
But
that's essentially what it's talking about
That's
here. Like,
essentially what it's talking about.
Yeah.
Well, people mess this up all the time.
like self-evaluate yourself first. And
Right.
think of, why am I doing this? And then if it's oh no, I care for my brother or sister,
Yeah.
then,
So,
present it.
so this passage is
Mm-hmm.
used usually to say to someone, "You're not allowed to judge me.
Don't judge me.
Don't judge me." It says, "Do not judge, lest you be judged."
Uh-huh.
Right, and then you just stop from there.
Yeah.
But the whole purpose is actually to remove. Jesus uses very big hyperbolic language. So
Yeah.
here's this tree in your eye, and you're going to take the sawdust out of someone else's eye. Good luck with that.
Yeah.
Clearly, that's
Very hard.
Yeah,
Impossible.
Totally impossible, right?
Yeah.
Which is why he says, clean up the trees in your eyes. Clean up your eyes so you can see more clearly to help your brother. The irony is when I see there's something wrong with you, if I don't do this, I will almost 99.99999% of the time, I'm going to muck this up so badly, I'll actually do you harm. I might be overstating the case there, but I don't think I am. Whereas if I go through the process, I see the thing that's wrong in you, and then I go through the process of assessing myself for the same wrong, that's going to just clarify all my thinking and my feelings about it. And probably it may not even be an issue in you. It may just be my issue, like that I'm projecting up on you. You hinted at a thing that I have way more of, but as a problem that I don't like, but I'm kind of not dealing with it. And whereas, you're just foreshadowing it and don't actually have the problem. And when I do the tree removal that he's calling for, afterwards, I'll be looking at you and go like, oh no, Jared's actually got this pretty well together. That's cool. Because I'll understand what together even means. So that's a pretty powerful statement that he's given here. And then I also love in Luke, the given will be given to you and they'll heap it up, and that's in the light of pardoning. So if you give pardon, you ever known people who are like really like that? They're like, they give pardon so easily. They're ready to pardon,
To forgive.
to forgive. They're ready. Like they're just in this state. So then when someone comes to them with that vulnerable, I'm sorry I did this thing to you, blah, blah, they're just like, they're there. They're joyously there, man. You will give, like he's right. You'll give it back, heaping over for them. You'll give them so much latitude in their walk when they mess up. Whereas people who are miserly with such things, when they're stingy and hard, and and boy, how they get the same back. So I love this statement here, and then the last Matthew 7:6.
Yeah.
Do not give what is holy to the dogs. Do not throw your pearls before swine, lest they trample them under feet and turn and tear you to pieces.
Is that talking about like people who, I keep doing this, you say, hey, Jared, stop. And I said, oh, I'm so sorry, Patrick. And then I keep doing the thing. You said, Jared, we talked. You said, stop. And I said, oh, I'm so sorry. I keep doing it.
No, that's not.
Okay.
That's that, because
I wouldn't be the swine in that case?
no, I don't think so. I think you might just be a typical
Annoyance.
sheep. I think you'd be a typical sheep, right? Because the brother who comes to me 7 times in a day and says, I'm sorry, forgive me. I forgive him 7 times in a day. That's sheep.
Yeah.
What this is talking about is, you come to me and you say to me, Patrick, you did this sinful, hurtful thing to me, and I just gut you for it.
Like, I see.
I'm just like
always bringing it up. Yeah.
no, like I did a thing to you. You bring it to my attention, and I attack you and hurt you. That's a swine.
Interesting.
You know, and that's what he's saying. Don't give to the. And by the way, swine and dogs will typically let you know because they'll bite you. Like they'll broadcast ahead that they're going to do this thing. Like I've been that. So I know what that is. Like I like it's like I've been all the soils. I've been all these animals. Except I don't think I've ever been in a wolf in sheep's clothing. I was just a wolf once upon a time. I didn't bother with the sheep's clothes. I was just like whatever. Because like wolves bite and devour and destroy. Swine and dogs will do a similar thing. They're just not as aggressive.
I see. Okay.
This is actually dealing. Jesus is giving you how do you deal with the psychopaths in life? Because there are some people who are just dangerous people for whatever reason. Okay, this is not a psychological analysis, and he's not even calling for you to do that. You'll know them by their fruit. If you give them something like, "Hey, I'm sorry I did this thing to you," or if you say, "Hey, you did this thing to me," and then they just come around and like absolutely annihilate you. They bite and devour you. Stop giving it to them. He's not suggesting you stop. He's telling you to stop. It's a command. People don't often understand that. And as a result, because a lot of my brothers and sisters, you are amazing and sweet people. And you really want to give the benefit of the doubt if you're walking in Christ, because love thinks no evil, right? Yeah. But here, Jesus is dealing with evil. And evil is just this behavior of turning and rendering someone who is actually, who's done the log removal and is like, hey, you've done this thing. And the thing is, some people can walk longer with you through this process. Like if you're being brought out of being a swine by people who love you, they're committing to a very hard and difficult task.
So that mean I don't forgive the swine? You still forgive the swine in this case, or is this something different?
I wouldn't.
You don't have to forgive the swine. That's the
if they're unrepentant, I wouldn't.
Interesting. Okay.
I would work on my bitterness of heart that I not have any. I would be ready to forgive. Because sometimes people do turn out of this behavior. They do see their wickedness and go, that's dreadfully wicked. I'm so sorry I did that to you.
Interesting. Okay.
And when they do that, boy, be ready to forgive. Like Luke, overflowing and heaping over. But let it be an outpouring, just this glorious thing. And I say that because that's how God forgives us, and we're commanded to forgive as He forgives us. So we're not going to best God at the forgiveness game.
Gotcha.
There's no one up in God. But don't let that ever be an excuse for you to be like, well, they didn't repent, so I'm not going to be for you. No, you're bitter. You can't be bitter. You can't be, because love your enemies. Bless those who would persecute you. Right. This is all on the tail of that.
Yeah. Last week.
So you have to deal with the two things.
Okay.
Now, the swine who turns and rends you, he's just saying, stop giving them those holy things. Stop discussing this with them. They need to go out of your bubble. Like they got a problem. It's like church. It's a church discipline kind of issue. You know, if this was happening in the church, we'd be like, hey, like this has to be brought up to a higher level.
Sure,
it's not going
I
to be
see.
one-on-one. It's going to go up. And it's,
Yeah,
at some point they'll be given over to Satan because they've decided that they love darkness, not light.
Sure. Gotcha. Okay. Alrighty, let's do Tuesday. I think we bled into this a little bit. This is the you will know them by their fruits.
Yeah.
I'll go to Matthew 7, verses 7 through 23. I think that one's you.
Matthew 7 through 23.
Yep, Matthew 7 through 23.
Okay, let me get my page. Ask and it will be given to you. Seek and you will find. Knock and it will be opened to you. For everyone who asks receives, and he who seeks finds, and to him who knocks it will be opened. Or what man is there among you who, when his son asks for a loaf, will give him a stone? Or if he asks for a fish, he will not give him a snake, will he? If you then, being evil, know how to give good gifts to your children, how much more will your Father who is in heaven give what is good to those who ask him? Therefore, in any things, whatever you want people to do for you, so do for them. For this is the law and the prophets. Enter through the narrow gate, for the gate is wide and the way is broad, and that leads to destruction. And there are many who enter through it. For the gate is narrow and the way is constricted that leads to life, and there are few who find it. Beware of the false prophets who come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly are ravenous wolves. You will know them by their fruits. Are grapes gathered from thorn bushes or figs from thistles? Even so, every good tree bears good fruit, but the bad tree bears bad fruit. A good tree cannot bear bad fruit, nor can a bad tree bear good fruit. Every tree that does not bear good fruit is cut down and thrown into the fire. So then, you will know them by their fruits. Not everyone who says to me, Lord, Lord, will enter the kingdom of heaven, but he who does the will of my Father who is in heaven will enter. Many will say to me on that day, Lord, Lord, in your name did we not prophesy, and in your name cast out demons, and in your name do many miracles? And then I will declare to them, I never knew you. Depart from me, you who practice lawlessness.
Sweet. More harsh.
Yeah,
This is harsh, but we're very direct.
This is a tougher section for sure.
Yeah.
Let's open up with the the idea of knocking and seeking. The notion of if you are looking for truth and righteousness and all the good things that God has on offer, if you're looking for God, you will get your answer. You know, even Job, you know, like his is a pretty rough case. But this idea of you often point it out. There are lots of people who are chasing Jesus and who are not entered into him until later in life.
Sure.
In baptism, you know, which is had in faith. And they say, well, all that time that I was leading up to that, is that for nothing? It's like, no, that was you knocking. That was you seeking.
Sure.
Now you have found, you know,
Yeah.
and so it's a prayer answered. So keep searching, keep working, you know, because the narrow is this gate.
Sure. Yeah.
So that's kind of core. This idea of knowing them by their fruit. You know, if you think about parents, not all parents are the same in terms of quality. What I mean by quality, I mean just their ability to parent.
Sure.
Like you know, parenting is child unique. You know, like there's lots of unique things you have to adjust to with each child. And some parents produce children that are rotten to the core. I mean, they just produce evil people, and they shouldn't be parents, frankly. Fortunately, that's minority case. You know, people kind of muddle through.
Yeah.
And some people are A+ parents, and most everybody else is something in the middle.
Yeah.
So you kind of know by their fruit, by their kids. You know, what are they like? You know, what were they like as parents? Doesn't mean they're perfect, you know, but you meet them and you're like, oh, it's a pretty good person. You know, they're moral, they're upright, they have a good framework for living or whatever. Parents must have been somewhere in the, you know, above C-.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
But, you know, like maybe you've got, and the same thing goes with the false prophets. They're wolves in sheep's clothing, but you'll know them by their fruit. Well, what is their fruit? You know, the fruit of a false prophet, what is that?
I always understood that as it's identifying a person's actions, right? And then what yields from that, action. Does it yield something good or does it yield something bad?
Okay.
Right. So
I would agree with that definition as core to the operational definition.
Yeah.
What they do and what the results of that doing are. And then another thing is what do they teach? And what are the results of their teaching?
Sure. That could fall into that as
teaching is an action. Now, false prophets will lie about what they believe and what they teach.
Sure.
the thing about that is lots of people accuse people of being false prophets who aren't false prophets. They're mistaken, or they don't understand the implications of what they're saying.
Yeah.
That's different. But that's why, I've heard brethren bandy around the term false prophet like it's not a big deal, because they disagree with the preacher or the teacher. I'm like, do you not understand? Yeah. This is
that's
someone,
like a Princess Bride. You keep using the word. I'm not sure it means what you think it means. That's how I would define that.
Right. Because Jesus says the wolves in John 10, the wolves come and bite and devour the flock. They're there to destroy the flock. People who are mistaken are not trying to destroy the flock. They might do it by accident, but like it won't be a thing. Sure. So I say that by look at their actions and see what comes, and then also like the things they teach. People who follow if you follow that teaching, what happens? What's downstream of that teaching, and that's all you can really do. Again, false prophets, false teachers, whatnot. It's all hinged on a lie. Fundamentally, it's all about that lie, and lies are the handle upon which the vast majority of sins rest.
Yeah,
and so it's important to look at that, and you can look at the people who are closest to those. Again, if they have children, look at how the children perceive the information, because kids get they're good recorders of data, but bad interpreters.
Sure. Yeah.
But so that means if there's a warped interpretation to be had, a lot of times the kids will have it. But that's kind of downstream of what did they teach.
Sure.
So it's like, it doesn't mean that you can't hang a father and mother for all their children do. But if a man has 10 children and all 10 of them are hellions, something's wrong with the man.
Sure.
It's like,
yeah,
he did something wrong.
Something there.
Yeah, there's something there. It sort of goes to the other thing. If I have 20 brothers and sisters who say, this one sheep keeps producing this one outcome, 20 people, very different perspectives, but they all get the same result with the one person. The common denominator is the one person.
Correct.
But that tells me, that doesn't mean necessarily they're a false prophet, but it tells me there's something there.
Alrighty. That is, what was that, Monday or Tuesday?
That was Monday. Or Tuesday.
No, that was Tuesday, because that was 7:23, right?
Yep.
So now we're on Wednesday, which is the house built on the rock. 7:24 through 29. I think that's me, right?
Yeah, because we have 2 readings. Yeah, we're back and forth.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
Awesome. So I'll go ahead and finish. So Matthew 7:24 through 29, the end of the chapter, it reads, "Therefore, whoever has ears, or whoever hears these sayings of mine and does them, I will liken to him a wise man who built his house on the rock. And the rain descended, the floods came when the winds blew and beat on the house, and it did not fall, for it was founded on the rock. But everyone who hears these sayings of mine and does not do them will be like the foolish man who built his house on the sand. And the rain descended, the floods came, and the winds blew and beat the house, and it fell, and great was its fall. And so it was, when Jesus had ended these sayings, that people were astonished at his teachings, for he taught them as one having authority, and not as the scribes." Luke 6:43 through 49.
"For there is no good tree which produces bad fruit, nor on the other hand a bad tree which produces good fruit. For each tree is known by its own fruit. For men do not gather figs from thorns, nor do they pick grapes from a bramble bush. The good man out of the good treasure of his heart brings forth what is good, and the evil man out of the evil treasure brings forth what is evil, for his mouth speaks from the abundance of his heart. Now, why do you call me Lord, Lord, and do not do what I say? Everyone who comes to me and hears my words and does them, I will show you whom he is like. And he is like a man building a house who dug and went deep and laid a foundation on the rock. And when a flood occurred, the river burst against that house and could not shake it, because it had been well built. But the one who heard and did not do accordingly is like a man who built a house on the ground without any foundation, and the river burst against it, and immediately it collapsed, and the ruin of that house was great."
I've always loved that section, because I loved that story of just the guy who built the house on the rock. And what's cool about this is you can look at all those passages, or this example, and there's many passages where it alludes to Jesus being the cornerstone, the rock, the foundation. And so it's fascinating to be able to compare and contrast all those different stories. And you have Jesus saying here that the people who don't heed his sayings is like those who build their house on the sand, and those who do, they have him and God as the foundation of it, and they'll withstand the difficult times.
What's that look like in life?
What's it look like in life? I think it's your first response in difficult situations. You go to God. I think that's why the Psalms is so great. You have people pouring their heart out to God, not liking a situation. You have people upset and angry. You have people it's just going to God with your emotions, right? God, can handle raw emotions.
Right.
And I think that's one thing. Second is going to your fellow brothers and sisters, right? Because iron sharpens iron, Galatians 6, we're to bear one another's burdens. So I think it's finding people that you connect with very well, that you feel comfortable sharing those deep things for me. Unfortunately, mine is my brother, right? So it's like I just get like my, not only
I hear good things.
My physical brother, I mean, obviously my spiritual brother are good well, but my brother, we're same household. We think very similarly, and so me and him, I think a lot, and so I would just go to him and just ask him questions and get his thoughts on it. And obviously, my brother's very much, he's like the 100% analytical, like he just will break it down, and so it's so cool to see like, oh, I didn't think of it from that side. Oh yeah, I guess I was kind of letting emotions get off the handle, with that one. And then we always pull into scripture. And so it's always like, hey, what does this passage say?
Right.
So that's for me how I handle it. But it doesn't have to be a physical brother. It could be another spiritual brother, best friend in the church, right? It could be those things. That's what it is for me. What is it for you?
So, it's, you spoke of a very analytical process, and it's very, it's very intentional.
Mm-hmm.
I like that in theory.
Mm-hmm.
However, in practice, I find I'm wildly insufficient for it because I lead mostly intuitively. It's an intellectual process that informs my intuition.
Sure.
So what I have to do is kind of go the other way around, which is I have to build the intellectual framework that instills that builds up the intuition, so that in the moment,
okay.
I have a situation pop. Like I love that you led out with it, in whatever is going on in life. Go with God. On it. Like, what does God want in that situation? And people say, you just ask yourself the question, what is God wants from me in this situation? And I think it's funny because that's not what I do. I lead intuitively first. But there's a way to detect that an area of life is not being informed by God. And that's if sin, then it wasn't properly informed by God.
Sure.
So if you did something intuitively and you ended up sinning, that is an area you had not yet, for whatever reason, you have not yet fully rendered unto God. So there's kind of
interesting.
You have not yet built your house upon that rock. You are still building on sand over there.
I see.
And so, so this kind of an interesting, I'm not surprised that you've created a top-down framework mentally and that you actively build upon it. And in a sense, I'm doing a bottom-up framework,
Sure.
And actively building upon it. And it kind of comes, but it just is to inform the heart, so the heart stops lying.
Interesting.
Because the heart will lie,
Okay.
but it can be informed by truth, and you have to constantly reiterate to the core of you what is true, and that goes to the, everyone who hears these words of mine and does them. So you can't just hear; you have to be a doer of the word.
Yeah.
But it's that process of hearing, knowledge, understanding, wisdom, then lived knowledge. And we're both talking about the same thing. It's just from different perspectives because
I'm very interested about your perspective. I guess
our framing is different. That's all.
Well, yeah, and I guess maybe I'm missing it because it sounds like it's the same framing. I don't understand how does the intuitive come into play with yours? Because you said you have intuitive.
In the moment, I'm probably not asking what does God want me to do. Like it's probably not a conscious process. I'm not the situation arises. I don't usually just immediately go like into this sort of analytical process. I can obviously and do quite frequently, but that's something it'll take a couple beats, right? But live in the moment, it'll be very instinctual, very intuitive. And so whatever I have informed my conscience with, my heart and my mind with, whatever's behind, whatever work I've done ahead of this moment, that will inform live. And so it'll be, that's what I mean by the intuitive. It'll just be, so if I've been reading the word and I've been praying and I've been,
you have to then create that process beforehand so that then it's just motor, muscle memory, and then you just do it.
You're right.
If it's a new situation, that would be hard in your paradigm because I don't have intuition to inform this. So then I have to do the reverse. But you prefer the other way around.
Right.
Interesting. Okay.
And because I'm doing it that way now, I might have because I'm not having to build everything actively.
Sure.
Like I'm looking to the paradigms and building up this broad base. It's a very flexible system because it's being built upon the reality of Christ. And I think that's really what I want to get down into is Christ as the rock upon which to build life. Everything else squares off beautifully from there, regardless if it's an active intellectual process live in the moment, or if it's more of a something more intuitive and emotionally driven. Both approaches have to be rightly informed by His words, and then go and practice those words. So in the heat of the moment, you are both informed and well practiced. And then, and that's what it means to build off of Christ as the rock.
See. Okay.
So, very fun.
Gotcha. No, I think that's interesting perspective. I think I better understand the difference. That's cool. Yeah. Now people have two methods on how they want to approach this. Yep. I love it. 1 through 10. So I'll read Matthew 5, 1 through. What was it? Matthew? No, not Matthew 5. Matthew 8. Thank you. Matthew 8, 5 through 13. That's what I was trying to say. Matthew 8. 5 through 13. Matthew 8. Matthew chapter 8, verses 5 through 13. Yep. Do you get your mic on? Yeah, you're good now. All right. Matthew 8, 5 through 13, which it reads, Now when Jesus had entered Capernaum, a centurion came to him, pleading with him, saying, Lord, my servant is lying at home paralyzed, dreadfully tormented. And Jesus said to him, I will come and heal him. The centurion answered and said, Lord, I'm not worthy that you should come under my roof, but only speak a word and my servant will be healed. For I also am a man under authority, having soldiers under me, and I say to this one, go, and he goes, and to another, come, and he comes, and to my servant, do this, and he does it. When Jesus heard it, he marveled and said to this who followed, Assuredly I say to you, I have not found such a great faith, not even in Israel. And I say to you that many will come from the east and the west and sit down with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob in the kingdom of heaven. But the sons of the kingdom will be cast down to outer darkness. There will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Then Jesus said to the centurion, Go your way as you have believed, so let it be done for you. And his servant was healed that same hour. And then the other part is Luke 7, 1 through 10.
When he had completed all his words in the hearing of the people, he went to Capernaum. And a centurion's slave, who was highly regarded by him, was sick and about to die. Now when he heard about Jesus, he sent some Jewish elders asking him to come and save the life of his slave. And when they came to Jesus, they were earnestly pleading with him, saying, He is worthy for you to grant this to him, for he loves our nation, and it was he who built our synagogue. Now Jesus was going on his way with them, and when he was not far from the house, the centurion sent friends, saying to him, Lord, do not trouble yourself further, for I am not good enough for you to come under my roof. For this reason I did not even consider myself worthy to come to you, but just say the word, and my servant will be healed. For I also am a man placed under authority, with soldiers under me, and I say to this one, Go, and he goes, and to another, Come, and he comes, and to my slave, Do this, and he does it. Now, when Jesus heard this, he marveled at him, and he turned to the crowd that was following him and said, I say to you, not even in Israel have I found such great faith. And when those who had been sent returned to the house, they found the slave in good health.
Awesome. So this is the faith of the centurion. I got to say, this is probably the passage that saved me from not falling away. It was this one here. It was all because what made me want to fall away was I've been in a lot of churches, and a lot of people unfortunately discouraged me, and I thought, really, everyone says they love Christ, but they don't seem to do any of the things that they profess that say they do. So it's like, why am I doing this?
The hypocrisy of others.
Exactly.
Right? Okay.
And then I was thinking, this is ridiculous. Why don't I just leave? And then I read this passage where it's like, whoa, this is the same thing that happened here. Right. Is that Jesus even says to himself, I have not found such a faith in all of Israel. So how did that help me? It's like, wow, okay, this is just par for the course. You should expect people to be the most inconsistent in the church, unfortunately. And it's the people who you don't expect to have the greatest of faith. That's why a lot of my business mentors and a lot of people who've helped me become the person that I am today have not been Christians, and they've shown the best Christian leadership, and they have not tied to the faith. And I can only square that answer of like, why is that the case with what is with this? It's like, wow, this is Jesus already talked about it. And so that's what I was like, okay. It just made the passage in the Bible more right to me. It's like, oh, this is so true. Let's just stay with the course with it.
And this centurion, he's a leader.
Yeah.
But
Roman.
He's a Roman leader.
Exactly.
Right? He's not a Jew.
Very disliked by the Jews.
But rather reminiscent of your non-Christian leaders that you met. It's very similar.
Yeah.
Excuse me, we haven't done this in a hot minute.
Yeah.
My voice is like getting shot. But that's really, not surprising. All that is good comes from God.
Sure, yeah.
And there is no good without him. And so every good thing that we do, whether we're in Christ or outside of Christ, is ultimately stemming from him.
Exactly. And that's kind of a philosophical kind of idea I realize is that the things that are good from that are from God, they're good regardless of who does it, because good is just good.
Right.
And so it was just a really eye-opening moment for me. It's like, wow, okay, so that's how I can square this away, and I don't need to have this be the thing that causes me to lose my entire faith over.
And sadly, a lot of people put on religion like it's a cloak,
Sure.
but it's a cloak of vice, and it's not a thing that they're taking on for transformation in Christ. They're putting it on for the facade of righteousness. A hypocrite literally means a mask wearer, and a lot of people who are into doing evil things, they're never in their own minds. They're never wrong.
Yeah.
They refuse to be corrected. They refuse to be
Unfortunately,
changed at all. Right. And it's always somebody else's fault.
Yeah.
Right. And it's always it's like pushing water with them. People like that really value the external appearance of righteousness. And we've just gotten done reading the Sermon on the Mount. How many times does he condemn these outward traipsings that have no moral depth? And that's why he says, "Depart from me, you workers of lawlessness." Here, then, by way of contrast, we get a man who is not in a covenant relationship, begging the creator of the universe to heal his own slave, which frankly is above like what most people would do. If you have a slave, you don't typically esteem them at such a level that you would humble yourself to petition one who, if you're a Roman centurion, you don't normally think of a Jewish Messiah as your anything. He's nothing to you.
Sure.
But he humbles himself, and then he has the strength of faith really to say, "I'm not worthy to be in your presence, and I'm certainly not worthy to have you in my home." And I wouldn't want your reputation to be tarnished for that either, frankly. I mean, he would understand the implications that he wouldn't want that upon Jesus.
Sure.
And he says, "But I know that you can just do this thing."
Yeah.
Like, wow, that's awesome. And
Exactly,
so we have to take I love that you've taken the centurion as a model of faith, really. Because his faith runs very deep, and it shows up in very, very specific, humble action.
Yeah.
And then and know that those in the church who are mask wearers, it's not like they won't be found out eventually. Maybe not this side of heaven.
Sure.
But come the judgment day, every knee will bow and every tongue will confess, and all the masks will be torn off. And something that I was asked by the congregation before I came here was, "How good are you at receiving feedback?" And the answer to that is, "Well, I'd like to be better at it, frankly."
Sure.
And I would like that to be my answer forever.
Yeah.
Until I die, because I think there's room to grow there forever.
Yeah.
But it's important that we be able to, we've been talking a little bit as we're going through this week about that, so that we can be humble like this man. We can be humble before our Lord. And then, and notice too, he has friends in the synagogue who are advocating for him. He has, leaders, elders in the church, in the synagogue, church and synagogue. Sorry, I'm just inadvertently using them interchangeably there. Because they mean the same thing, basically. But he has faithful men who understand who he is. No, they don't understand how this guy can be in any covenant relationship with Christ later on.
Sure,
That's not yet revealed. But that's the nature of it. So even that's a model, too, for the pattern that you saw. Is these guys are faithful members of the covenant of God, and they have this friend outside of the covenant that they're willing to advocate for before God. So pray for your friends. Pray for those leaders who you saw exemplify Christian living, and pray petition on their behalf, and then also to them that they know Jesus, because if the soil is already producing good fruit, some good fruit, then how much more with the the husband who can manage that vine.
Mm-hmm. No, yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Like I said, one of my favorite passages.
I can see why.
I just love it. It's
Yeah.
just,
Well, thank you for sharing that. That's really good.
yeah. So good. All right. I think that's a good stopping point. So last day's reading is Luke 7:11. Got to get a Slurpee. Luke 7:11 to 17. So 7:11 through 17.
Okay.
And it reads, "Now it happened after that he went into the city called Nain, and many of his disciples went with him, and a large crowd. And when he came near to the gate of the city, behold, a dead man was being carried out, the only son of his mother, and she was a widow. A large crowd from the city was with her. When the Lord saw her, he had compassion on her and said to her, 'Do not weep.' Then he came and touched the open coffin, and those who carried him stood still. And he said to the young man, 'I say to you, arise.' So he who was dead sat up and began to speak, and he presented him to his mother. Then fear came upon all, and they glorified God, saying, 'A great prophet has risen up among us, and God has visited his people.' And this report about him went throughout all Judea and all the surrounding region."
Is that all of today's reading?
Yeah, that's all. That's the only one. Yeah,
Okay.
love this one.
The
What I think
gates in Nain.
Yeah, exactly. The widow of Nain's son. What's so fascinating about this one is it goes back to like the problem of the humanity struggle. Everyone's going to die at least once, right? And what Jesus brings us renewed life, and then you get to see it manifested with the people he gets to resurrect. Like, hey, this is a person who, like, that's why I love using Ecclesiastes 3 so many times. I'm sure people are probably tired because I bring it up so many times, but it's just this idea that there's this cyclical nature of life where things start and things end.
Time to
But
die.
there is a
time to live.
purpose. Exactly. But there is a purpose, eternity was placed into their hearts. And because there's something we long for beyond this. And this is Jesus saying, hey, there's a way to conquer death so that there is something beyond this, and there's an eternity. And it doesn't have to be one of death. It could be one of life. And this is one of the small microcosms through his healings. You get to see that. And so it gives us hope today. Like, hey,
Absolutely.
we can enjoy this life from a Christian lens. And we also have something cool to look forward to.
Yeah. And the fact that he has compassion on her.
Yeah.
He understands everything you just said and then some, right?
Yeah.
Then quite a bit. He gets it. He sees the big picture, but he also sees this moment with her of absolute grief.
Yeah.
She'll be destitute. She's got no one.
Yeah.
This son was all she had in terms of, how does she eat tomorrow?
Yeah.
She doesn't have, she doesn't have a job. She doesn't,
Sure.
like there's no such, her son was her social safety net.
Sure. Yeah.
And also just the heartbreak of losing a child. That's an indescribable pain. I have not experienced, and I would not wish on anyone.
Sure.
And so I love that Jesus, understanding the big picture, this guy's going to be raised from, I'm going to raise him later anyway.
Yeah.
He compassionately, plucks her out of that moment and blesses her. And that's like, this is not ivory tower theology. Jesus doesn't, live in this abstract bubble.
Sure. Yeah.
He's in and among the lepers and the poor and the lame, the maimed, the blind, the dead.
Yeah.
And he's healing them and raising them from the dead. And he's doing a lot there. And it's not just so that he can be like, look at me, I'm the big deal, I'm the Son of God. It's driven from a deep place, a deep root of love and compassion. The result is they say God has visited his people.
Yeah.
The result is they glorify God and they fear. Because that's pretty freaky stuff he just did. It would be scary. You're carrying a dead man, all of a sudden he's popped up and he's all good. But I love that. I think that's the takeaway from the gates of Nain is the compassion of Christ for this woman. Where is Nain? Do you remember where that is?
I don't know. We could probably put it up. Is that map? That's the Canaan of the Judges. We got to find. I know there's the map over there.
Yeah.
But it's not on the right period. I could probably Google one online.
Yeah.
Place it in so people know. Where did this happen?
Where are the gates of Nain?
Yeah, where's the gates of Nain?
This is Luke. What's the verse? Luke
7:11. Remember 7:11 to get Slurpee, man.
That's funny, man.
Yeah.
Reminds me of songs. 7-11.
That's right. As you're looking for that, what I thought was also cool, and you made me think of this connection, is that's a small microcosm of Jesus himself, right? Where you have obviously Mary's not a widow, however, but it's a woman's son, only son, dying, and then gets to be raised. And Jesus has a similar paradigm there, where right, you have Jesus going to John, say, "Hey, behold your mother," asking for care for Mary. But then the same thing happens with Jesus, where Jesus dies and then is raised. Very similar to Mary, even though Mary had multiple children. But it's like this cool, like, I've always wondered if, I think there's many reasons why Jesus had compassion, because he just loves his people and he cares. But it was also cool, like, oh wow, this could be like this is what an experience Mary will have. It's at some not so distant future.
Yeah, right, and that'll be weird for her.
Yeah,
she'll watch him die and then be raised and be like that push pull of emotion.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's
same thing like this. What he was dead,
like
now he's alive.
Feeling like you're being bungee corded around. It's like, whoa.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, very interesting stuff.
That's cool.
All right, a great prophet has arisen among us. Yes, I think that's pretty accurate.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Absolutely. All right. Well, I think that concludes. Was that week 11? Yep. That week 11 podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you guys next time.
God bless.